single day. Maybe it's the way she moves, or maybe it's that long dark brown hair. Ooh, aha, yeah. Ooh, aha, yeah. Ooh, aha, yeah. Ooh. When you walk on by, my eyes are from the sky, 'cause I couldn't stop thinking about you last night. Everyone was dancing to the Smiths. But you were moving your feet, she was shaking your hips. Maybe it's the way she moves, or maybe it's that long dark brown hair. Ooh, aha, yeah. Ooh, aha, yeah. Ooh, aha, yeah. Ooh. What told you with my wolf pack? You gave me a number, but you never came back. A 1, 2, 3, 4. Woohoo. Aha, yeah. Woohoo. Aha, yeah. Woohoo. Aha, yeah. Woohoo. I don't care, 'cause I still remember your long dark brown hair. Woohoo. Aha, yeah. Woohoo. Aha, yeah. Woohoo. Aha, yeah. Woohoo. Aha, yeah.
Hello.
As soon as we're a man down, I'll let you do the intro, Jamie.
Yes, so welcome to episode 26. I mean, there's no Tom, is there? So, it's just me and you for now. If you were joined, we have no idea. But this is episode 26, our second episode in our live episodes. That's right. So I'm going to bring up the chat so you can see everybody. We are live on YouTube, Twitch, Facebook. We are live everywhere. So, I mean, let's see what happens. I mean, I may just throw this in here. You ready for this? Let's just surprise him.
Just
literally just 30 seconds. Tom,
just before we go any further, Tom, what's your excuses for being late?
I was having a shit.
I wasn't sure if you're going to lie or not.
So, yeah, I mean, it's just going to be mainly us three, and we'll also maybe have a few guests jump in, talk about the draft as well. So, without further ado, let's bring on the draft specialist. It's Mark.
Here he is.
Are you alright, boys? How you doing?
Yeah, good mate.
Yeah,
You?
good, mate.
I'm alright. I'm on my bed at the moment. I've got no broadband in my house. I've just come back from a walk, and you've asked us to jump on a pod, so I'm getting on as quick as I can.
Yeah, good. Really good, mate. Really good.
You don't need to stay for the whole one. I mean, if we're all completely honest, I mean, I'm sure all of us would not be here for the full time if we weren't the host. So if you need to jump off, don't worry. We could just get rid of you like that. So we're okay, aren't we? So you can go if you want.
Yeah, we don't really have anything on the agenda. We did have a guest lined up, and unfortunately he has had to postpone till next week, but we're keeping it fairly tight-lipped because we're quite happy with the guests we've got. We're quite looking forward to it. So we've just cobbled together this now. We've asked our favourite Geordie Preacher to come into the frame. And
Preacher or creature?
Preacher, that's what I think Gaz calls him on Twitter because of his predictions in the during the season, isn't it? He tends to get a couple of bets right. Just to sort of give some draft hype, really, because we've been doing our own fantasy draft this week, haven't we? And it's been going on. There's been debates and Mark.
Going way too early.
I'll call you Mark. I'm resisting calling you Mark Cart because that is what we know you as. But I'll call you Mark for the purposes of this.
Strong safety for the San Francisco Sandbaggers.
Yeah, just to get you on to well, actually, the real reason is we wanted the names that you put in the group in your accent. That was the
Absolutely.
But you know, it's like we've had a few of the pro days, haven't we? So the pro days have been doing quite well. So I mean, there's a couple of players who have made a jump as a result of the pro days, and some of them have fell down. I think everybody in the chat now knows my love for Rondale Moore. But wow, what a performance he had in his pro deal, eh?
Yeah. Is he the mini Tyreek Hill, the 5'7" one?
Yeah, he's 5'7", but he's pretty racked up. You know, like when you look at him with his top off, you know, like he's not like Hunter Renfrow build. You know, he's more like like Tyreek Hill. You know.
Yeah. The vertical jump was ridiculous, wasn't it?
Oh, like literally like a flea. I mean, I expected him to test really well. You know, like if you watch him for Purdue, you know, he looks fast and he plays fast as well. Sometimes that track speed doesn't translate to the field, but you look at him and you think, yeah, he's rapid. He's really rapid, and he's a handful to take down. He's almost got like a running back build, but obviously, you know, put the ball in his hand and he's going to be really good. I'm so high on him. I was high on him anyway, but you know, like if a team gets him at the bottom of the second, you know, like around about them first 5 picks of the second round, you know, like they're gonna feel pretty good about it.
So obviously, I know you've put some stuff in the group and that, but who's your sort of big movers and big fallers from the pro day so far? Because I think like Gregory Rousseau's had his pro day today, and is it Jalen Phillips or whatever he's called? Yeah, pro days today, haven't they?
You just need to say the names, please, Mark.
Yeah. Jalen Phillips and Gregory Rousseau.
That's my favourite. Gregory Rousseau's my favourite.
Do you know is like there's obviously the 2 Penn State guys, Micah Parsons, who you also love is the same, and Jason Owe have been just phenomenal. I mean, like their testing was off the charts. Like the strength and programming coach of Penn State needs a bonus or something like that, because them two were just freaky. I mean, you're talking about 250-pound lads, you know, 250-pound lads running like four threes. Ridiculous. Yeah. But
easy work.
Yeah.
Hey, you should see Tom move when he closed the chippy.
You know, Tom, though. I was just going to quickly say, Tom.
Jordan. Good old Jordan. Desperate.
I mean, we'll get onto we'll get onto a bit of questions later, but I just wanted to throw that one at you, Tom. So there you go.
There's a bit of a backstory to that, isn't there? That's we'll probably have to touch on that.
He's a prick. That's the
backstory. I mean, does anybody have any questions? Do any of the listeners have any? I mean, do people want to have anything about, you know, like their team, who they're drafting, and who might be a fit potentially?
There's one just coming from JP there, actually.
Yeah, I've just seen it.
So let's have a look at it.
So basically,
make me feel good and tell me there's a 0% chance we take Mac Jones. Otherwise, I might have a very bad draft night.
John, personally, mate, I think you can sleep sound. I don't think you're going to be taking Mac Jones, because why trade up to 3 from? You've got to ask yourself that consensus know-it-alls of the draft. You know, like all stating that Mac Jones is going to be the 5th quarterback that's going to be taken. Even if someone was really high on him, you think he's going to go right. Okay, well, then he might be the 4th quarterback taken. If that's the case, you wouldn't have had to trade up to 3. I think if you're trading up to 3, you're trading up for. My theory is if you're trading to 3, you're trading to start a quarterback straight away, which kind of makes me lean more towards Fields than Lance, just because of the experience. Fields has been playing in the last year, played some college games, a lot more college games. He's played at a higher level. Whilst I think that there's really not much between Trey Lance and Justin Fields, I think if you're picking 3, you're definitely not taking Mac Jones. I think you're wanting somebody to start straight away. In that case, you're going to be taking Justin Fields.
I've read quite a bit about him on Twitter, where people obviously saying that Ohio sort of bring in and recruit quarterbacks to suit their system, so they look a lot better than they actually are, a la Dwayne Haskins. Is there a risk of that with Justin Fields? Or
do you know when you've got quarterbacks who can run, the floor's so much higher for them because they can always rely on their legs. I mean, you saw Jalen Hurts come in for Philadelphia, and just look what he was able to get out of Philadelphia because he could run with the ball. And that's the thing, you see. Like, I think when you've got somebody who's got that kind of athleticism like Justin Fields, and he has got accuracy as well, Tom, and he has got a really big arm. The only thing that he really hasn't got is he doesn't make quick decisions. He's got a bit of that Deshaun Watson where he'll hold on to the ball. So he needs to be making decisions quicker. But let's face it, if he's playing for Kyle Shanahan, you know, this guy gets people open like nobody else can get people open. Yeah. You know what I mean? He'll design plays where he's throwing at people with 3 or 4 yards of space, you know? And I think when you can move like Trey Lance and like Justin Fields can, the floor is that much higher. You've got to remember as well, right? They've traded up from 12 to 3. This is the biggest trade in 49er history. It's arguably the biggest trade in, you know, like in terms of capital, what people have given up in NFL history. You're talking 3 first-round picks here. So, and a third. So, you know, like Kyle Shanahan's reputation is on the line here. Now, it doesn't sound like he's going to be putting his reputation and everything on the line to move for somebody like Mac Jones, who barely moves the needle on what Jimmy Garoppolo is. Yeah. He's going for something completely different. He gets to play Russell Wilson. He gets to play Kyler Murray twice a year. He's seen the damage that a Russian quarterback can do, and he's gone, I want one of my own. And I think it'll probably be Justin Fields.
Yeah.
So there you go. Does that help, John?
I think it does.
So I suppose talking about the trade then, that was obviously a very, very dear trade, but Miami, I think, done well out of it, and they've done well sort of the past couple of years and maybe next year as well with trade draft capital. What's your thoughts on them? Where are they going?
Well, you know, as I was listening to a pod earlier on the day, and not to steal their line, but I'm going to steal their line. You know, they've nabbed an extra first round pick, and probably are going to still take the player they wanted to take at 6.
Yeah.
You know, see if on their shortlist they had, realistically, say their shortlist was of 3, and they went, right, we're not going to take a quarterback because they're trading out of 3. So on their shortlist, I imagine they've got Jamar Chase, Kyle Pitts, and Penei Sewell. When they're trading back behind the Bengals, they automatically know that Sewell's got off their list because the Bengals are going to nab him, aren't they, really? So that leaves you Kyle Pitts and Jamar Chase. Bearing in mind that the Falcons are before them. Now, I think when all's said and done, the Falcons are going to trade out of number 4 anyway. And I think whoever's left out of Fields and Lance will jump into that 4th spot. So you've got 4 quarterbacks going straight away. You've got Sewell going at number 5. And then at number 6, you've still got Jamar Chase, or you've still got Kyle Pitts. And I'm guessing that the likelihood is they're still going to have a shot at the player who they were probably going to originally take at 3. So, you know, like in terms of gathering capital and a masterclass of how to trade and maneuver, and this has been like 3 or 4 years in the making. This, you know, like it's like the Dolphins have just put themselves in such a great position. And I think, if anything, Tom, this tells us that Tua's their guy. It just tells you that they're all in on Tua. But saying that, if Tua wants to fail this year, they've still got the capital to move back up and get a quarterback next year if need be.
Yeah. They're covered well.
Got another question on here from Mr. Socials. Kadarius Toney, talk to me. I don't think that's a question. I think that's, I don't know. You can't have a question.
Just going on, you're not in here.
Please talk to me.
So I put Kadarius Toney in that same kind of bracket as your Rondale Moore. You know, like he's one of those kind of wide receivers who can move and power over people like a running back. I'm not as high on Kadarius Toney as I was on Rondale Moore, just because he you know, like I think when you've got Pitts on your team, You know, like there's a lot to be caught underneath when you've got somebody at tight end like Kyle Pitts stretching the field. That's the truth. And I think that Kadarius Toney done as well as he could with that kind of with that kind of space and that kind of lesser focus of attention on him. Personally, I think Rondale Moore's a shade ahead of him, but he's a similar kind of player. He's one of those who want to get the ball in his hands. You'll scheme early. You'll scheme him open. And you'll probably make a lot of catches within that 5 to 10 yard range. And he's really a yards after catch machine. So, yeah, he's hard to bring down, though. He is very hard to bring down.
Yeah. And just having a look to go through again, what is your opinion on the Seahawks second round pick after free agency?
It's from our other college expert.
From Jordan.
Yeah. I haven't really looked. God, I mean, Pete Carroll. Who can predict what Pete Carroll's going to take? But first of all, is one thing. I mean, he just seems that he's like bloody Mike Mioch to some extent, where he's just got his own draft board and that's his guy and that's who he's going to get. And he's like, I don't care if I'm taking this guy 3 rounds early. And I'm thinking like Collier and people like that and Rashad Penny, you know. But in the second round, let's have a little think what they need. Okay, so they're all right at wide receiver. And do you know, is going on their form, going on that past form, I wouldn't be surprised if they took a running back. I know they've got Penny and they've got Carson and all that there, but I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised with Pete Carroll if he took a running back. I really wouldn't. I'm just trying to put myself in the mind of Pete Carroll and the way he works, and I'm thinking, I'm thinking it's going to probably be the most left field pick I can think of. So it's probably going to be a running back, you know.
Just slightly going away from the draft, we had a question quite early on saying, how long does it take to understand the rules?
Mr.
From
Fudge.
Big Billy Wharton. Yeah, Mr.
Fudge.
I mean, Jordan and the edgy ones wanted some fudge, so if you wanted to and Billy, there you go. But I think that's the only one thing that's stopping a lot of people getting into the American football is there is so many rules. I know obviously when we talk about footy, it's just 2 teams, you just got to kick the ball over there. You have the offside rule, and that's basically it, really, isn't it? But it's just one of those. I think even I'm still kind of learning some of the ref signals. I mean, I only knew about that because of Madden. It's like, because you never see it in the actual game, do you, when they're actually throwing in front of the line and stuff like that. So there is so many rules.
Do you know what it is as well with NFL? The rules never stay the same. They change it every year.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's why I say to people. What's the point in learning the rules? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's like
it just keeps adapting, doesn't it? And I think when you get into it, I mean, I know how long have you been following American football? And like I said, we're still learning the rules as we go because there is so many of them as well. But basic is you need to get a touchdown and score more points. That's how you win. But that's basically it.
Play Madden.
Yeah, exactly. It helps. So what's your thoughts on why the Eagles traded their 6th pick? Seems odd given we tanked that final game. No, you just shit, you didn't tank it.
Do you know what it is? In that game has earned you an extra pick. You know what I mean? That's what it's done. Tanking that games give you the capital to trade out of 6 and to get an extra pick. I think you kind of find yourself in a similar position to what I was describing with Miami with Tua, whereas you've now got the ammo to see if Jalen Hurts is your guy, and if he's not your guy, you can trade up and you can get your quarterback next year. Bearing in mind that your Carson Wentz deal's probably going to get you a first as well. I mean, it's a second at least, but it's probably going to get you another first. So you're going to be having 3 first-round picks next year. You get to have a look at Hurts this year. If you don't like it, you can go, okay, then let's trade up and let's go get our quarterback next year. And there's some decent guys next year as well, you know.
Yeah. I said the same to Phil. We were talking about it, and I think they'll go sort of a wide threat, whether it be somehow Pitts drops down to there or one of the 3 wide receivers. And I said, like, there'd clearly be one at 6, but I still think there'll be one of the 3 at 12. I think, you know, it might be the worst of the 3, but I think they're all good.
Yeah, I'm looking at. I mean, off the top of my head, I'm thinking of Philadelphia's roster, and I'm thinking that the second we got hammered last year. So I'm thinking, you know, J.C. Horn, Patrick Surtain could be a possibility there. That would be a great range for them to actually come to think.
You think Cowboys will take him at 10?
I think they've got to look at it, haven't they? I think they've got to be looking at it. You know, there's another question here which talks about who the best drafting team of the last 5 years. I'm going to put the Cowboys into this blend. We make it laugh and we joke about, you know, like the Cowboys and their drafting. But over the last few years, they've routinely took best player available. And they've arguably been one of the better drafting teams of the last 5 years. You know, when we're thinking of the players who have come into that franchise and went on to make Pro Bowls, you know, I'm thinking about, you know, like Leighton Van Der Esch, you know, done well, hit the ground running. Yeah, he's had some neck injuries since, but he's come in and he's hit the ground running. You know, CeeDee Lamb last year, you know, he's the same. You know, he came in and they didn't necessarily have a need for him there, but they took him anyway. So the Cowboys, I think, you know, going with that best player available format, I think Surtain would be a great bet for them there. I think if he's there, they'll take him. He's definitely in the top 10 players.
Does it still annoy you that we moved up to take Connor Cook ahead of the Cowboys and they ended up with Dak?
Yeah, it makes us sick in my mouth. It makes us sick in my mouth. It makes us even more sick when I look back at me grade on Connor Cook on that, and I had a second round grade on that. What the hell? Like, you know what I mean? I think I had him in the top 50 that year, so I think I had him just outside of it. I think I remember rightly. I think I had him 52nd on my list. So you know, what do I know?
Yeah, join us next week when we've got a new draft expert.
You've got. You know, I've had some good sleepers like Jeremy Chin, but you know, you've got to hold your hands up to the bad ones that you have as well.
People are judged not only on the winners but the losers, aren't they?
Yeah. You got to hold your hands up.
It's nice you saying the Cowboys are your pick for like the best drafting team in the last 5 years. We talked about the Eagles, so it is over to you, Tom. NFC East. Tell us why the Giants won't win the NFC East.
Let's have the backstory first.
I mean, I can't answer this question because I've already thrown a wedge at them for winning the league. Yeah, I mean, so Jordan's a prick, like we've said, we've already established. But he's a funny guy, and he decided that he thinks the Seahawks have got a better chance of, is it making a Super Bowl or winning a Super Bowl before the Giants win the East? I think it was winning a Super Bowl, wasn't it? Either way, it's a crazy bet. I'd have to have a look back. But yeah, he's put 20 quid on it because he can obviously throw 20 quid away at the end of this season. And now just tries to bait me out. He's got such limited involvement in the group at the moment because he's very busy writing and working, etc. But any opportunity he has to dig the Giants out, he finds a chance, and it just typifies what he is in a Seahawks and Arsenal fan. But yeah, here we are. Jordan's corrected us making. I'll go back and check because I don't trust you. But yeah, so I mean, look, it's still probably the shittest division out there, but that gives us a better chance, and I think we've done brilliantly free agency. But then there's also a risk, you know, winners. I think they said something like Kings of March aren't always kings of the division, so we'll see. You know, like Jordan says there, Dak's got our number. Dak does perform against us and can carry the Cowboys, but their defense is shit, so hopefully they're terrible. Eagles will finish bottom of the division this year. I think our main threat's Washington. But,
I would say the same.
Yeah, I just think, you know, the moves they've made to help Gibson and McLaurin, and then they've already got a solid front line on that defense. And the secondary isn't that bad. It's a bit slept on. It's nowhere near as good as our secondary, which is the best in the league, never mind the division. But yeah, we're winning it. Was that? There's no.
What are Washington going to do when Fitz decides he's had enough for the season in week 6?
Yeah, well, this is the year that I'm hoping that actually happens, and I'll be sit praying and please
and
give it.
Heineken can come in and win it all.
Fucking Heineken, yeah, he'll come in and
I really want
a losing game.
I watched that. I was watching the playoffs again last night, and remember that Heineken game came in. He done well. I wonder if they think that they can see something in him. I wonder if they think they can see something in him. He had a really good FCS record, you know. He played really well in college, that kid. I'd be surprised if
with Fitz as well might help. So you never know, do you? I mean, learning under Fitzpatrick, He could like learn the NFL. Like, who else would you rather have learn from? Someone who's been to basically every team in the NFL over what 15, 20 year 20-year career. So
I love what they've
definitely
got
got
on
some
offense. I love what they've built.
Yeah.
I love McLaurin. I think he's just mint. Samuel's
an unbelievable pickup.
Yeah, really crafty pickup. Gibson's a really good player. I liked him coming out last year, and he done really well in his rookie year. Logan Thomas came on towards the end of the season. I think they're a decent team. I quite like watching the Redskins. I do. The defense is scary, man.
Yeah, agreed. Sweat and chase out the side. Ugh.
Just because I've been accused of ignoring questions, I was coming on to it. Just so you know, Bones, the draft questions flowed. Okay, as a producer, I'm going to keep this flowing, so I wasn't ignoring it. But thank you for clarifying.
Bones just started baiting you out already on the live, mate.
So 4th and 15 as a replacement to the onside kick. Is it happening this year? They voted it down last year, barely. Producer over here ignoring my question. So, do you see the 4th and 15 coming in this year? It's something that you think would improve the game, but rather than having these onside kicks, make it a little bit more challenging, especially in the last few minutes of the game. If they've got a 4th and 15, would it? What are your views on it?
I don't think it's far enough. I don't think it's far enough. I would make it 4 and 20 or something like that.
Yeah, considering against
like
onside kick.
Yeah, I mean, like onside kicks. What's the odds of getting an onside kick converted? I mean, it's got to be minimal. Unless it's Greg Zuerlein.
As Raiders fans, we know when a team has 3rd and 15, they're throwing 16 yards, aren't they? We know that.
Yeah, it'd be like a Leo. I would never go and let a kick up. You know what I mean? I personally, I don't think 4 and 15 is long enough. I would, if it was 4 and 20, it would feel a bit better about it. But 4 and 15 seems a little bit in today's game. You know, you got quarterbacks like Patrick Mahomes and Lamar Jackson who can break a pocket, and Justin Herbert. 15
they
yards.
can run that 15 yards.
I'm so happy 2 of them are in our division that you mentioned there.
Yeah, it makes me really ecstatic as well. And imagine if Denver get Trey Lance, it'd just be fantastic.
I was about to say, do you think it could be Denver that go to 4th, trade up to 4th, or who else? Is Campers in there? Are they? Yeah.
I think it depends what's going to happen with Deshaun Watson, isn't it? I know that Carolina were really in on Deshaun before all these sexual allegations came out, and be honest with you, I'm the one who's been putting those sexual allegations out there. because if Carolina got Deshaun Watson, like the run for Denver to get Trey Lance would be really clear. So I've just been phoning up a few people that I know. I've been, getting some stories out there and getting some feelers out there, and all I'm saying is that I saw Deshaun Watson with Jimmy Savile a few years back down the Newcastle.
He's up to 19 now, isn't it? 19 count.
No, but in all seriousness, though, like Carolina get Deshaun Watson, Denver getting Trey Lance, it is a real thing. And I don't think I could take it.
We're gonna have to, aren't we?
I can't wait that happens.
I mean,
at least we've had some good, successful years recently to think we can take a few years without any success. Oh, hang on, no, we haven't.
Well, that's a perfect time to say. I know it's about 74 years left on the deal, but is this the year make or break for Gruden?
100%.
God. The 3rd year is really the make or break. When you look at head coaches who come into franchises, normally they say by the 3rd year, you'll want playoff football.
Look at the Browns.
Yeah, look at the Browns, look at McVay. Look what McVay, these head coaches don't get that time these days. I mean, Gruden wants to be thankful he's on a 10-year deal and he's got a bit of autonomy. But I think, I said this earlier on, I think we've had quite a good free agency, by the way. I'm going to give the Raiders dues where they deserve it. That John Brown contract looks amazing when you compare it to Aguilar Hall. That was fucking hard to say. Whoops, I swore. and T.Y. Hilton's contract. You know, like we've done well on that deal.
I think you hit the nail on the head when you text me about Yannick Ngakoue, that it's a 2-year deal, so he has to perform. He's a great player.
And he's still in his prime. We're still, we're signing he's 25 years old. He's a year older than Damon Arnett. My favourite first rounder of recent history, Damon Arnett. Still can't believe we drafted him.
But speaking of Raiders in the drafts, though, in all honesty, another question from Jordan: who are you going to take in the first round? Who do you think the Raiders are going to take?
Somebody who's expected to go in the 5th.
Palmer Jackson from Brentford. In all fairness, right? I'm working on a theory. If we have been giving this to Andy all week, I think that there's some really good round 3 offensive tackle talent. I think Jackson Carman, who I just mentioned there, is one of them. I really like James Hudson from Cincinnati, from Cincy. Jalen Mayfield, I might be tempted to put him at the back end of 2, early round 3. And Spencer Brown from Northern Iowa, if I remember rightly. So these are all your your round 3 talents. I think if I was the Raiders, and this is my theory, I'll go get one of the versatile inside-out offensive linemen round 1. That means I get someone like Rashawn Slater if he's there, or I get Vera Tucker. Now, these are guys who can play guard, but are comfortable at offensive tackle. So we take one of those in round 1, and then round 3 we swing back, and we get somebody like James Hudson, for example, or Jackson Carman. We've got history of double dipping. If you look past Mioch's draft history, in areas of need, we'll double dip. The year we got Clay, we got Max, rather clear need at defensive end. The year we got last year we got Ruggs, and we came back and we got Edwards, Damon Arnett, and Amick Robertson. We've got a history of double dipping in areas of extreme need, and we normally come back on somebody with upside. Somebody like Max, who was athletic and long and not necessarily strong. And the same for like Amick, small, feisty, but not necessarily long, like, well, Damon Arnett's not even long, to be honest with you. But you get the idea. So I think that Vera Tucker at 17 or Rashawn Slater, if either of them make it, would be a great pick. Because then you can start them outside, or you can leave them in at guard, and then you can have a look at somebody like James Hudson or Jackson Carman, and have a look at them for offensive tackle in round 3.
I just can't take Slater seriously. Obviously, I've seen all his tape and stuff now because there's a lot of talk about the Giants potentially going for him, but he just looks so nerdy when he wears them glasses, doesn't he? And it's like, you see these offensive tackles as sheer brutes, and I've seen him doing bloody reps with glasses on, and I'm like, I can't buy into it yet. He just looks nerdy and weak because of it, yet he's an absolute unit.
Yeah, don't say that with Tevin Jenkins. He wears glasses as well, and he's got some of the most volatile offensive tackling tape I've ever seen in this draft. Like, he will beat you to a pulp, you know what I mean? So Tevin Jenkins is another real possibility for us. So there's another one who's a possibility for us at 17. I really do hope I'd rather we go somewhere like offensive tackle. Like then the edge class. Whilst I like the edge class, I feel that offensive tackle is one of those premium positions. And if you get an edge wrong, like their blowouts, if you get an offensive tackle wrong, you just kick them inside the guard, and they'll still have some kind of long in their career. And I think we need to find starters, and we've got a big hole at right tackle.
So.
I know, JP, and don't worry, Bones, I will come to you.
JP.
Who's the worst draft bust of all time, and why is it Jamarcus Russell?
She's right.
Yeah, he is the worst draft bust of all time. And why is it Jamarcus Russell? Because he didn't learn the playbook. because he doesn't even bother looking at it.
The story is incredible of them giving him a blank tape, and he claimed he watched it, and it was a completely blank tape. Just
where did you have him graded, Mark?
Oh, do you know what? Did you watch his pro day? It was arguably talking about pro days, his pro day was phenomenal. He was beaming the ball all over the place. I think you've got to understand that. I think everybody had him consensus number one that year. You know what I mean? I don't think anybody expected him to come in and be the bust that he was, because his pro day was. I think Daniel Jeremiah and a number of the NFL Network guys have said it was the best pro day they've ever seen, and they even make reference to it now. You know, when they're talking about Trevor Lawrence's pro day, they still talk about Jamarcus Russell's pro day.
So obviously there's a lot of stuff going on.
I think when we think busts though, and I'm going to go to another Raider because we've drafted so fantastically, but Darius Hayward-Bay for me has to be the bust of the draft, because he was round one and he ran this fast 40 time, and that was it. We decided to make him a top 10 pick off the back of it, and we couldn't have had any competition because we could have waited the second round and got him. But for me, that's like your kind of busts, the ones where somebody swings for the fences and he just falls flat on his arse. You know, at least Jamarcus Russell, every other GM in the league was thinking if he doesn't go one, we'll take him two. You know, with Darius Hayward-Bay, we were out there on a limb as the only ones who saw him as a first round talent, you know, and well, he wasn't a first round talent, you know.
With Raiders bust, do you see Cleve Farrell as a bust?
I see it as a really poor pick at number 4. You know what I'm like? You've heard me before. You know how I rate going into the draft and targeting positions of need. If you're that high up and you're not going to take a quarterback, and if there is 3 or 4 quarterbacks in the draft, just trade out. Get more capital and just trade out. If you are forced to stay into 4 and pick someone who's got game-changing ability, not somebody who's a base 4-3 end. That's that, you know, like, and I'm not saying Devin White would have been the pick either. You know, honestly, my pick would have been Brian Burns. Most people know that. I really like Brian Burns that year. You know, but yeah, I mean, at least go for athletic upside. I like Cleve Farrell. I would have felt much better about Cleve Farrell at the Josh Jacobs pick. I would have felt much better with him in the 20s than I did about number 4. Just think it's a really 4-3 base end who kicks inside on passing downs, and like doesn't really have much bend. You know, does have some hand counters, but he wasn't really a scream off the edge in Clemson. It doesn't move the needle enough for us, like, you know.
Yeah.
So Bones comes in to say, so many prove-it deals this year with 1- and 2-year deals. Do you think the cap is actually going to have a positive effect on performance around the league this year?
Could do.
I think loads of players do, don't they? Loads of players always play for. I mean, look at Leonard Williams. You know, his prime at the Jets, he was underwhelming. I think was he 5th round? He was 5th pick overall, I think, or 6th pick overall. Never really got where he needed to do. Came to the Giants, had an average half a season, and then got franchise tagged and had a worldie, 12 sacks. Pay me my money, and then we franchised him again for a second time, knowing full well that we needed to agree a contract, and he just held us to a nosebleed contract, and rightly so. So I think they will. I wouldn't be surprised. I'd hate it, but I wouldn't be surprised to see him have an average season this season. Now he's got his 3-year deal.
Yeah. No, so who do you think, this from DJ, which team do you think will come out of this draft King Dick and looking of course for 2021 season?
Jags.
Jags or Jets was my my thoughts. Jags or Jets.
Jags.
Yeah,
Jags are leaving the draft with the best quarterback prospects, and look probably better on most draft boards than look. And they're not a bad team, and their franchise is going to be set for the next 10 to 15 years, isn't it? Really?
The question is, like, I know, speaking on our Madden franchise mode, we currently have a Jaguars player in there. Dan Jones, not the Daniel Jones, but Dan Jones decided to trade away his first round pick for Dak Prescott. Would you rather have Dak Prescott or would you rather have Trevor Lawrence?
No, I'd rather have Trevor Lawrence.
There you go, Dan. So you get it
I'd
wrong.
rather have Trevor Lawrence.
Do you think
I
he's
think
going to
so.
be unreal then?
Yeah, I think Trevor Lawrence is going to come in with the very first ball that he throws. In fact, before he's even thrown a ball in the NFL, I think he's a top 10 quarterback, which is pretty absurd, but he's that good.
Surprises me from you, that.
Yeah, it's pretty
I mean,
absurd, but he is that good.
Obviously, I know you watch a lot of NFL and you watch a lot of college football as well. I've got a question from Taryn. When is Jamie going to admit that the XFL is a superior product? It's not. But did you watch the XFL when it returned? Did you watch any of it? No. You don't even. You see college football above XFL. It goes.
Yeah,
NFL,
I see college football.
College football, XFL. Okay, just so we can clarify that XFL doesn't exist.
Yeah.
We watched a little bit of the XFL, didn't we?
Yeah, New York Guardians.
I think that's where Connor Cook ended up, didn't he? It's just about right.
Well, there was a quarterback this season that came from the XFL.
PJ Walker.
Yeah.
So
PJ Walker did for Carolina, didn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was him, yeah. Turner's got a good question. Put that Turner question up, Jamie.
yeah. So question for Mark. There's 3 late round sleepers.
Day 3 late round sleepers. Oh, I'll probably give him a handful already. So he knows. He knows.
Yeah,
He
sure.
has
I'm sure you haven't told me those.
Kendrick Green, Illinois. I really like Kendrick Green, Illinois. He's going to be around about that round 4, round 5 range. He can play guard, he can play centre, he moves really well. He's strong. I really like Kendrick Green. Paulson Adebo from Stanford seems to have slid down everyone's boards and went completely unnoticed. A couple of years back, he was getting first round buzz. He was put on an island a lot at Stanford. I really like Paulson Adebo. He's long, 6'1". He moves all right. I think he'll make a roster and will play snaps in his rookie season. He's got lots of experience. Trey McKitty, Georgia, was miscast there. Has a touch of the Foster Moreau about him. He'll probably be a pro. Then he will be college player. He'll probably be late, maybe round 6, maybe round 7. Trey McKitty's a good shout. The tight end. If you're looking for an all-round tight end. Hunter Long, the Boston tight end, another one. Probably more. Probably more round 4 than a sleeper. I would say probably more round 4, but he's a good player. There's plenty of good talent down the board, and most of the time you're looking for people who are in poor situations. So I'm taking like Schwartz, who was at Alabama. Really poor quarterback for Knicks. He's going to come in and he's going to be put into a situation with that kind of track speed, where he's going to be a punt returner, kick returner. And he'll make a roster on it, and he'll probably look really good in that position. So, there's plenty of players out there who'll make rosters, and most of the time it's because they're on bad situations in college.
And I'm not sure if any of you can elaborate on this because I have no idea what he means. Early natty prediction from Jordan.
What
I don't know
national
what that
championships? Yeah, he means a natty national championship.
Okay, fair enough. There you go.
So I'm having a look, and I'm thinking, well, Alabama are going to be hard to move off. They had a really good recruiting class again this year. I think Georgia might move the needle on them a little bit, but it's going to be hard to look past Alabama again. I think, they just have a procession line of talent and ability. Clemson, I can't pronounce the quarterback's name, and I'm sure this is why he's asking us the question. So I'll try and have a go at pronouncing the quarterback's name. But Clemson are in a good position as well. But I think Alabama will probably be nailed on for another national championship. But watch out for Georgia in the SEC.
And do you think Lance and Judy they're going to be pretty nasty together? Lance and Judy would be nasty, right? Trey Lance.
Sounds like a right good 80s sort of cop duo, that, isn't it?
Les and Judy.
Lance is going to be a tremendous professional. I hope he lands in a really good situation. Like, I would love him to land in Carolina with Brady, with Joe Brady. I would hate for him to land in like Chicago, for example. You know what I mean? I think if someone's going to move up, I really hope that he lands with somebody who's going to know how to use him. And and he doesn't get Mitch Trubisky. That's the top and bottom of it.
So yeah, Jordan wants you to say his name. I've just googled him.
Good luck.
Is it DJ Uiagalelei?
Oh God, I'm going to actually attempt to say this. Let's put my teeth in. I'm going to have to take a few goes at this. Uiagalelei. I can't do it.
Ukulele.
Uiagalelei. I think it's Ugug, and you say Uiagalelei like that. But he came in for Trevor Lawrence this year when he had COVID. He looked really good. He was a vaunted really high school recruit. You know what I mean? But he came in when Lawrence had the COVID, and he looked unreal.
They're saying he's the early favourite for the Heisman for 2021.
Yeah, he's a good player. Yeah, good player. Spencer Rattler's there as well. Let's not forget. It's good, for quarterbacks. I mean, Uiagalelei won't be coming out. He'll be in there another year, but Spencer Rattler's a good player on his own, right?
DJ Uiagalelei, what a name!
Yeah,
unbelievable name.
It's a great Scrabble score, isn't it?
Yeah,
Great Scrabble.
Yeah.
I mean, you're a very popular one tonight. Everybody just wants to hear you talk, Mark. So,
because he wants every week.
Absolutely filled content here, Annie. Filled content. What a guy!
Who is the best prospect you graded in the last 4 years who hasn't quite made it like you thought they would have?
Probably Derek Brown. Derek Brown last year. Matt will remember, and Andy and a few of your Raiders fans will remember. I was all over Derek Brown. I was on him, like 2 years before he came out, and I honestly thought that he would just come in. And he, to be fair with you, I mean, he had a great last 4 or 5 games of the season. He started to come into his own, but I expected him just to have lights out production straight away. But I think that's a defensive tackle position for you a little bit as well. It takes a little bit to come together. Who else have I really missed on? Not many. That's how good I am. No, I tell you what, Tom, one of yours, DeAndre Baker. I was massive on DeAndre Baker coming out of Georgia, and I know it's under slightly different circumstances. But I mean, I was high on him that year. I was really high on him that year. I thought, wow, the Giants have just got themselves a corner that's going to be there for years. How long did we
traded up for him as well, didn't we? We traded up to get back in the first for him. You can't. I mean, there was loads of hindsight stuff came out on Twitter about, he always had red flags. I just don't think you can foresee that someone's going to hold someone up at gunpoint. Can you? Do you know what I mean? Like, you're not going to get a red flag that's going to say this guy who's got tons of money is going to go to play Madden with someone and fancy his watch, so puts a gun in his face to take it. But then I suppose he got found not guilty and then went to the Chiefs. He's landed on the Chiefs, and I was like, here we go, he's going to get a ring, and then snapped his leg, which was gruesome.
I mean,
which is great.
I've probably had some bigger misses, but some of them are still developing. Like Ed Oliver, I kind of thought Ed Oliver was going to come in and be this like 8 or 9 sack guy a season from the inside, and he hasn't really had that production yet. Though he's got that ability, he flashes and bursts and stuff like that with it. So I have had, like some of the guys who I've had, I've been really high on, like Miller Fonwu. There's another name that I took. I was massive on Miller Fonwu the year the Raiders took them. I would have took him. I would have been happy. I would have been happy with taking him with our first round pick. But when we got him with the second, I was like leaping for joy. I was buzzing with it. Absolutely dreadful. Absolutely dreadful. So there's been a few where I've been high on and have been really poor.
I've got a really good question from Gary there. Bit of a backstory to it, but I think. What do you like on your Subway, Mark?
Shite. Because it's been that long since I've had a Subway. I feel like I should answer this with some sort of dignity. Nothing springs to mind. Meatball marinara, maybe.
For those
There's a lot of stick in the group, Subway, and I don't agree with it at all.
It's not so much. It's not the stick it gets. It's the story we had a while ago.
We used to have it like nearly every day.
I was going to advertise the group chat a little bit to say, we're not going to air the story on here, but the story was phenomenal. And where it led to from that gave us a great, probably 3 or 4 weeks of laughing about different types of bread.
To be fair, any story that starts with Mark in the group has unbelievable merits to it, doesn't it?
One way or the other, yeah. It's either hilarious for the wrong reasons or amazing for very admirable reasons. There's no in between.
Yeah, I'm bipolar. What can I say? I don't actually mean that. I'm not. Just in case anybody is, but like my conversations are like bipolar. I'm either really good or just really shan. So
we touched on it last week about the charity work that you do, Mark, and that Kieran's doing for you. I think if you want to spend a few minutes, talking about the road to recovery and where people can donate if they want to, that sort of thing, then obviously the stage is yours. Fill your boots, mate.
Yeah, thank you. I feel like I should put my sensible head on now. People at work would never believe me when I'm outside of work. People outside of work. Yeah, people from outside work would never believe me in work, and people in work would never believe me outside of it. There's no. But yeah, the Road to Recovery Trust was something that was started up a number of years back by a group of people in long-term recovery. Newcastle itself as a region has got the worst statistics for drug and alcohol-related deaths, hospital admissions. We've got the worst contractions of hepatitis C. We've also got the worst for child poverty and poverty and stuff like that, which all goes hand in hand. Unemployment's traditionally high. Newcastle's like the city, and then you've got a lot of the outskirts, where it's like you have or you have not, and that's the top and bottom of it. And it's kind of been rebuilt itself as a cultural city, like where stag parties and all that kind of come. But there's a real dark side to that kind of world, where people can feel excluded and it's not really their life. And so the Road to Recovery Trust was kind of set about to try and impact the statistics that we were having in our region. It was formed by people in long-term recovery who felt that in addiction they were isolated and lonely in their life, but yet even in recovery they still felt that was the same. So we formed, and we used to do get-togethers for people in recovery who wanted that little bridge to normal living. As it turned out, we got a building eventually, and we raised some funds, and we'll have like a little hub in Newcastle, which is used by about 2,000 people of the recovery community. And we run events from the hub, and we'll have things like, we'll have all sorts of stuff there now. We'll have like psychiatrists who work upstairs. So anybody can drop in for a cup of coffee and go see somebody and have a chat, if the day at work's been too difficult. We've got financial services that help people with debt and benefit claims and when you come out of addiction, most of us are broken. We've exhausted every single avenue that we can find. And one of the things that we find really difficult in recovery is like getting tenancies and working with landlords who want a credit check you and all that kind of stuff. So we'll have like a financial well-being kind of surgery on, which helps people with that stuff and helps them take control of their debt. We've got like yoga, meditation, and Reiki and all that kind of stuff. And then we've got like the events and stuff that we do. And we have like a kitchen which serves food. And we get a load of people who come through there in early recovery, who need to learn how to cook on a budget and how to make meals for £5 and, all that kind of stuff, because addiction reduces you down to animal living in the end. So yeah, that's a charity that I work for. That's a charity that I'm the director of now. And we've done all sorts. We've had John Ashworth, the Shadow Health Secretary, came to visit us not long ago. He came to visit us because we're doing a lot of work with the children and the adults of alcoholics, the parents of alcoholics and the partners of alcoholics. And he loved that kind of support because he said often, we society only focuses on the alcoholic and not on their loved ones or their children who get to see this stuff. So yeah, we do all sorts of stuff. But yeah, we took a pepper in this year. We took an absolute pepper in 2020. You know, with COVID, and we're free at the point of access service. So all our yoga and all our workshops and all our employability courses and all these life skills courses that we do, all free. The only thing that we actually make money off is our cafe, which does a reasonable trade because the university students are on board with it. But with COVID, it just peppered us. And of course, we haven't been able to do our sober events or all our evenings that we do for the recovery community. So we just took a huge dent with COVID, and thankfully I was able to get some funders on board, and we've been able to get all the core costing covered, you know, like the building and staffing and stuff like that. But it's the little donations that I'm really missing at the moment. You know, like the Great North Run probably brought about $6,000 into my coffers every single year. And when the Great North Run was on and we had to register, I didn't have the money. It was when we were going through a really hard time. I didn't have the money to register the places. It was only like £780 to register the places, but I literally didn't have it in the bank. And we were unable to do the Great North Run in 2021 now as a result. I've got on for 2022, but for 2021, yeah, that's like £6,000. That pays for my 40 volunteers that do all the outreach stuff and feeding people in the city centre and all that stuff like so. Yeah, we're doing all right. I mean, the building and everything's secure now, and I've got jobs to give people, and that's looking rosy. But yeah, it's little donations for the little events that I need to do that I really need the money for at the minute. So it gives you money you get.
No, we'll post again for anyone obviously listening. We'll post on the socials easy ways to sponsor Kieran, because we want to see him absolutely get ground to the bone in having to do this workout just to make some money. But yeah, anything. You know, I think we might have already posted. If not, we'll post the charity bank account, charity registered number, so you know it's not a conks. I know Mark looks a bit dodgy, but yeah, you know, any donation, it helps. It's a great cause. We spoke about it last week, and it's close to, you know, as much as Newcastle. That's regardless. I think everyone in the group, or the majority of people in the group, have been affected by, you know, what you guys cover in some way. So definitely a charity close to our heart. So anything will help. That'd be brilliant.
I think when it comes to addiction, it touches so many of us, because when we think of addiction, we just think of drugs, or alcohol, but gambling, gaming, overeating, undereating, self-harm, you know, all that stuff falls under addiction, you know, like, and we deal with all that stuff as well, you know what I mean? So I've got people who are, you know, the demand for these services, and you know, I've got volunteers at this moment in time manning phones, you know, like doing our hotline, and we probably get about 3 or 4 calls an hour on our hotline from people in different states who want to know what 12-step meetings are on, you know, where they can get support, you know, and most of them at the minute are brand new to recovery. They're brand new, you know, like they're just people who are crumbling under the strain of everything, you know.
Well, the Road to Recovery Trust is our nominated charity. Anything we do in the group, we now do towards the Road to Recovery. As we said, Kieran's doing his bit, and we'd love to see him absolutely beasted and work down to his last pound of weight. But yeah, no, thanks again for coming on, Mark. We literally asked you at 6:42, and I think it went live at 6:45. So you've done us a massive favour, and all the questions have been for you. Really, no one's really cared about me, Jamie or Tom.
I had a question about XFL, thank you, and Tom had one about NFC. So.
But no, it's been we'll definitely have everyone again closer to draft, I imagine, and probably with Jordan as well. Yeah, and you can have a bit of a draft off between yous maybe. But it's been as Jamie's put at the bottom there, buy our merch at the link that's below, silverfx.co.uk. Another Raiders fan who we all know, but me, Mark, and Andy unfortunately met through the Raiders. I wish there was another way we met, but it was our
Raiders. What Raiders? I'm an LA Rams fan, me man.
Yeah,
we're not going about these Raiders for. Never like them.
But no, thanks again for coming on, Mark. And as we've all said, get onto Mark's charity. If you can donate anything, just donate, even a fiver. If 10 people donate a £5, that's 50 quid straight into the charity there, and that would be massive. So we'll hopefully got a guest on next week, which we're looking forward to. He's supposed to be on this week, but he is travelling across America at the moment, so we can't have him today. Unfortunately, I don't know who he thinks he is, having some sort of life outside of the podcast, but it is what it is.
Yeah, off that Air Force One plane.
Imagine.
But no, as always, follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at Third and Short Pod.
Yeah, thanks for the invite.
No problem. I hope you've enjoyed it in this new format and got to interact with everybody on the side as well, and just get grilled really about your knowledge. So it's been fun.
Yeah, it's thrown us because I haven't got any internet at the moment, so I'm doing this on my phone. So all I can see is me on my phone, and it's like I can't see you guys. Do you have the same kind of format on your side? Can you just see yourselves on your screen or whatever? Do you actually see?
No, we get the whole screen. So you know, remember last week when you watched it, we see everything. So we see all four of us, the chat on the right, everything. Yeah.
Technology in Newcastle isn't as good as what it is in Blackpool.
I'm not good with technology anyway, to be honest with you. Like, I'm in a direct position, I'm just totally winging it.
That's why me and Tom drafted Jamie in to do the podcast, because we're terrible as well.
Clueless on it, like, you know.
I know. Let's see what happens in the next few weeks, and we evolve even more. I don't know what's more technologically advanced than going live, but you know, we'll find out. I'll find but that's episode 26 of the Third and Short podcast. I hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you next week.